Well, this
Okay,
turnout noteworthy, as was Senator Bernie Sanders, and you just heard my colleague talking about that, where more than 27,000 people turned out in Los Angeles last week. One of the reasons, supporters received text messages promoting the event. So fringe candidates are attracting larger crowds, thanks to text messages, at least in part. With me now, Republican strategist Kayleigh McEnany and Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha. So, Kayleigh, first to you, to what extent do you see these mobile messaging responsible for turnout, no matter what side of the aisle?
I think it has a minimal effect. Yes, in some ways it's effective. You get the RSVPs, you remind people to show up at the event. But the two candidates attracting these supporters are Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. Both anti-politician figures, both strong kind of rogue outsiders, not the scripted politicians. That's drawing the crowds. The texts are helpful, but I can tell you this, if Hillary Clinton sent out a text, she's not going to get 28,000 people at a rally like Bernie Sanders.
I like what you're saying, Kayleigh, and to the extent that these are two candidates, whether it's Sanders or Trump, who, as you say, they are anti-politicians and almost proudly so. Chuck, what is your take?
Well, we do campaigns for a living at my firm, and you're seeing the technology actually change the way people do business. This ain't the first time people have used text message, and Kayleigh is right. It's not the sole reason, but it does help reach a large group of people very quickly. We are constantly talking about on the news now, Twitter, and instead of talking about broadcast news, because people are putting things out right away. You don't have to have a reporter. It's the same thing with what's going on with the text messaging. A regular average person looks at their mobile phone 100 times a day. An average Latino millennial looks at that mobile phone 191 times a day. There's a new marketplace there, and politicians are taking advantage of it.
Well, to your point, Chuck, is this to get millennials in the fold and keep them there?
Look, we've been trying for a long time to figure out what's the magic sauce to get millennials to show up. It's just another arrow in the quiver of arsenal that you should use to get to your politicians. You need to have somebody who's striking a mood with Trump and Bernie. But this just adds to that to reach a large amount of people very quickly.
All right. And our own Lou Dobbs is going to be bringing us all live coverage of Donald Trump's stadium speech tonight. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so you'll want to keep it here on Fox. Speaking of technology, how it is affecting the presidential race, the latest on the Hillary Clinton email scandal by Reuters, reporting the emails were classified from the start. And as we know, there has been this discussion of when Clinton sent the email as Secretary of State, were those documents classified, or rather unclassified, at that point when she sent them? Reuters is saying that they were. Kayleigh, to what extent does this change the conversation?
It changes it entirely, because we've heard Hillary Clinton say at first that she didn't exchange any classified information via email. Then she changed it to, I didn't receive anything marked as classified. And now we find out that at least 30 emails were automatically classified. And Jonathan Turley, a renowned constitutional law scholar, has pointed out anything coming from Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State is presumptively classified. So here, you know, she's a Yale legal scholar, Hillary Clinton. She knew this, and we don't presume she was incompetent to not know this should have been classified information. She intentionally circumvented the rule of law. And you have to ask yourself, is that who we want as President of the United States?
And as far as the actual plumbing goes, I mean, I'm assuming that it's not possible to send top secret things out, but I know we've dealt with forensics, some of our cyber analysts who say that obviously there's only a few people in the world right now who know that for sure. Chuck, how much does this damage Hillary Clinton's campaign?
That's the whole point of this. Right now, I don't think it's about what emails were sent, what was classified, was not classified. The problem is we're talking about emails. The problem is we're in an election cycle, and the Democrats really have one person right now. Bernie Sanders is coming on strong, and I think there's a lot of talk about Biden, but mainly because Democrats are starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable about all the news, all the noise, what is factual, what's not factual. But the point is we continue to have to talk about this, and it gives an opening that nobody wants to see. Even Hillary's own campaign, who's went up with lots of positive advertising in early stage, $2 million, because they want to make sure they're driving the narrative. The first rule in politics is not to let your opposition identify who you are and what you stand for.
And to your point, at this point, she is losing that battle. Kayleigh McEnany, thank you so much. Republican strategist, founder of Political Prospect, and Chuck Rocha, he is Democratic strategist and president of Solidarity Strategies.